It was a quiet Tuesday morning when a peculiar signal broke through the usual data chatter at NASA's Deep Space Communications Complex. Junior technician Clara Hughes furrowed her brow as she stared at the erratic yet structured waves on her monitor. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary glitch, but the precision of the pulses was unsettlingly deliberate. "Dr. Morales, can you take a look at this?" Claire called to her supervisor, her voice trembling slightly. Dr. Daniel Morales, a seasoned astrophysicist with decades of experience, approached with his coffee mug in hand. "What's got you?" So he stopped mid-sentence as his eyes scanned the screen. His demeanor shifted instantly. This isn't natural." Within hours, the signal was corroborated by observatories around the world. It originated from an object near Neptune, something massive that wasn't behaving like any known celestial body. Its trajectory and speed suggested intelligent control. The news spread quickly, reaching the highest levels of global leadership. And the Pentagon's Underground Command Center, Commander James Wilson, head of Earth's Classified Space Defense Force, stood at the heart of the chaos. Multiple screens displayed images of the mysterious objects, huge metallic structures moving in perfect formation. The largest one measured over 3 kilometers in length. "Lieutenant Brown," Wilson called, his voice sharp and authoritative. "What's the latest?" "Sir," Brown replied, her fingers flying over the keyboard, "we've confirmed 8 vessels. Their formation suggests a military fleet." Wilson's jaw tightened. "Initiate Protocol Omega. Alert all stations. We're moving to full readiness." Across the planet, decades of secret preparations came to life. Hidden bunkers hummed with energy, weapons systems powered up, and covert defense satellites adjusted their positions. Humanity had always speculated about the existence of extraterrestrial life, and they had quietly prepared for the possibility of hostile contact. The first direct communication from the alien fleet came as they passed Jupiter. Every screen and speaker on Earth broadcasted the chilling message: "People of Sol 3, you will now join the Galactic Empire. Resistance is futile. Prepare for assimilation." The voice was metallic and cold, but the threat was clear. Panic erupted across the globe, from bustling cities to remote villages. Social media exploded with speculation and fear. Yet, amid the chaos, the leaders of the United Nations convened an emergency session. In a grand hall filled with tension, representatives from every nation debated humanity's next move. The arguments were fierce. Some advocated for negotiation, while others insisted on surrender to ensure survival. But a resolute voice silenced the room. "We cannot and will not surrender," declared President Eleanor Grayson of the United States. "Humanity has faced countless challenges and emerged stronger every time. We will fight for our freedom, for our future." The sentiment resonated. One by one, other leaders voiced their agreement. Humanity would stand united. Back at the Pentagon, Dr. Emily Miller, a brilliant physicist specializing in advanced weaponry, joined Commander Wilson in the command center. She carried a tablet loaded with data on the alien fleet. "Commander," she began, her tone urgent, "their ships are using energy signatures we've never seen before. But they're underestimating us. They think we're primitive. That's their mistake." Wilson nodded. "Then let's make them regret it." As the alien fleet moved closer, preparations intensified. Deep in the Nevada desert, technicians calibrated railguns capable of firing projectiles at unimaginable speeds. In hidden Arctic bases, pilots trained in experimental fighter crafts designed for space combat. And in orbit, satellites armed with advanced weaponry adjusted their trajectories, ready for deployment. "What's their next move?" Wilson asked, pacing the command center. Dr. Miller glanced at the live feed of the alien ships. "They'll send scouts first. They won't risk their main fleet until they assess our defenses." Her prediction was accurate. Within hours, smaller alien ships began breaking away from the main fleet, moving toward the moon to scan for resistance. What they found shocked them: hidden bases bristling with weaponry, cleverly disguised as lunar terrain. A second alien message followed: "Your defenses are noted but irrelevant. Submit now, or face annihilation." Wilson smirked. "Arrogant, aren't they?" He turned to Lieutenant Brown. "Shut it all down, sir?" she asked, confused. "Every communication signal on Earth," Wilson clarified. "Go silent." Brown hesitated but followed the order. Within moments, Earth's once bustling network of signals ceased entirely. The planet appeared dead to the alien fleet. "Why silence?" Dr. Miller asked. "To confuse them?" Wilson replied. "They're used to a galaxy buzzing with noise. Let's see how they handle silence." The strategy worked. The alien ships, unsure of what to make of the sudden quiet, began moving erratically. Their confusion bought humanity precious time. In the heart of the chaos, ordinary life continued for most people. Children went to school, couples dined in restaurants, and workers commuted to their jobs. Yet, an unspoken tension hung in the air. Everyone knew the world was on the brink of something unprecedented. In homes across the globe, families gathered around televisions and radios, listening for updates. Soldiers hugged their loved ones before reporting to duty. Scientists worked tirelessly in hidden labs, refining weapons and strategies. Humanity was united in purpose, determined to protect their home. As the alien fleet closed in, Wilson stood at the command center, his gaze fixed on the main screen. "This isn't just about survival," he said quietly. "It's about sending a message. Earth is not a prize to be claimed." Dr. Miller placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "And they're about to learn that the hard way." The stage was set. Humanity's resolve was unshakable. The battle for Earth was about to begin. In the shadow of Earth's natural satellite, the alien scouts hovered, their sleek, reflective surfaces gleaming against the backdrop of the stars. Each of these craft, smaller but no less formidable than the main fleet, emitted an eerie blue glow as they scanned the lunar surface. Hidden beneath what appeared to be barren craters and gray dust were Earth's secret military installations, silent, camouflaged, and deadly. Inside Lunar Command Base Alpha, Commander Raj Patel observed the alien ships on a large holographic display. The room buzzed with quiet intensity as his team analyzed the enemy's every move. "Distance to targets?" Patel asked, his voice calm but firm. 5 kilometers in closing, sir," replied Lieutenant Iris Chen, her hands steady on the controls. "Hold fire," Patel instructed. "Let them think we're just a rock." The alien scouts advanced cautiously, their movements deliberate. One ship descended closer, its scanners sweeping over the disguised hangar entrance. For a tense moment, it lingered, its beams almost peeling back the camouflage. "Sir, they're zeroing in on our position," Chen said, her voice rising slightly. Patel raised a hand. "Patience. Let them commit." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Wilson and Dr. Miller monitored the situation from the Pentagon. The live feed from the moon showed every agonizing second of the standoff. "Do you think they've figured it out?" Miller asked, leaning closer to the screen. Wilson shook his head. "Not yet. But they will." The alien scout finally fired a small pulse at the surface, a probe to test the illusion. The energy rippled harmlessly against the lunar terrain, but the act triggered Earth's defensive measures. The seemingly inert ground beneath the scout erupted, revealing a concealed railgun. Patel commanded. A hypersonic projectile streaked through the vacuum, striking the alien scout dead on. The ship exploded in a burst of blue light, its fragments scattering across the lunar surface. The remaining alien scouts immediately adjusted, pulling back into a defensive formation. But Earth's forces were prepared. Automated turrets emerged from the craters, unleashing a torrent of missiles and energy blasts. 3 down, 5 remaining, Chen reported, her tone more determined now. "Keep the pressure on," Patel ordered. No retreat. As the battle raged, humanity's resilience began to show. The alien ships were faster and more advanced, but Earth's tactics honed through decades of simulated war games were unpredictable. Where the aliens relied on technology, humans exploited creativity and misdirection. One scout attempted to flank the base, its sleek form weaving through the bombardment. Patel spotted the maneuver immediately. "Deploy drones." "Cut it off," he ordered. From hidden compartments, a swarm of small, agile drones launched into the fray. They moved like a coordinated school of fish, surrounding the alien ship and overwhelming its defenses. A well-placed missile from the drones finished the job. "Two left," Chen said, a hint of triumph in her voice. But the remaining alien scouts weren't retreating. Instead, they combined their firepower, targeting the base's main defensive grid. Explosions rocked the installation as alarms blared. "Shields are at 60%. A technician shouted. Patel clenched his jaw. "Divert power from non-essential systems. Focus all firepower on those two ships. We end this now." On Earth, Wilson watched the intensity on the lunar front. "If they break through, they'll transmit everything back to the fleet," he said grimly. "They won't," Miller replied confidently. "They're underestimating us." Back on the moon, the final moments of the battle played out in a desperate, chaotic dance. One of the alien scouts managed to launch a devastating energy blast, breaching part of the base's outer defenses. For a moment, it seemed the installation might fall. But humanity's ingenuity prevailed. Chen launched a countermeasure, a prototype EMP missile designed specifically for this kind of scenario. The missile detonated between the two alien ships, disabling their systems instantly. The scouts drifted helplessly before Earth's railguns finished them off. "All targets neutralized," Chen confirmed, exhaling deeply. Patel allowed himself a brief smile. "Good work, everyone. Begin repairs immediately. This isn't over." On Earth, the success of the lunar defense gave humanity its first taste of hope. News of the victory spread quickly, bolstering morale. Social media was flooded with hashtags like Earth Stands Strong and Lunar Victory. Ordinary people, while still anxious, felt a flicker of pride. In the Pentagon, Wilson turned to Miller. "They've lost their scouts. What's their next move?" Miller's expression was serious. "They'll escalate." This was just the beginning. Far from Earth, aboard the lead ship of the alien fleet, a tall figure observed the battle's aftermath through a holographic projection. Its metallic body shimmered under the dim lights of the command chamber. "Report," it commanded in an alien tongue. An aide stepped forward, its movements precise and mechanical. "Scout units destroyed. Resistance is stronger than anticipated." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Humans. Primitive, yet resourceful. Prepare the main fleet. Let them witness the might of the Empire." Back on Earth, Wilson gathered his team. "We've bought some time," he said, addressing the room. "But make no mistake, they're coming. And we need to be ready." As the meeting ended, Miller approached him. "I've been working on something. It's risky, but it might give us the edge we need." Wilson raised an eyebrow. "How risky?" "Let's just say, if it fails, we'll be in serious trouble," she replied. Wilson smirked. "Sounds perfect. Let's get to work." The battle for the moon was over, but the war for Earth had just begun. Humanity's fight for survival was only getting started. The dark void of space stretched out like a vast ocean, its silence broken only by the hum of Earth's communication satellites. The moon, once a symbol of human achievement, now lay under the shadow of an uncertain future. The Galactic Empire had arrived at humanity's doorstep, and their presence threatened to snuff out the spark of independence that Earth had fought so hard to preserve. For weeks, Earth's leaders had debated the best course of action. The moon, with its hidden bases and advanced technology, had become the center of humanity's defense. But even there, the Empire's forces were closing in. The once secretive and formidable lunar bases now saw the bustling activity of soldiers, engineers, and scientists working together, building something that would change the course of the war. Captain Lara Ace Matthews stood in the command center of Moonbase Alpha, the largest and most fortified installation on the moon. Her piercing eyes scanned the large digital map of the solar system. The Galactic Empire had set up a blockade around Earth, with fleets positioned at every entry point. But there was a weakness, a single, narrow gap between the Empire's forces that Earth's fleet could exploit. "We need to act fast," Lara muttered, her fingers tapping the console in front of her. "The longer we wait, the tighter their grip becomes. Earth doesn't stand a chance unless we take this fight directly to them." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rohan Diaz, nodded. The Empire's ships are massive, Captain. But the fleet we've assembled, it's not just humanity's best. It's humanity's last chance. Lara turned to face him, her gaze sharp. And it's the last chance for freedom. We're not going to let these invaders walk all over us. They think they can intimidate us with their advanced tech and armies. What they don't understand is that we're human, and humans fight differently. The room fell silent. They had all seen the reports, the Empire's overwhelming force, their advanced weaponry, and the cold, calculating nature of their leadership. But none of that mattered. The Empire had underestimated humanity's determination. Outside the base's thick walls, the pale light of Earth's distant blue planet gleamed in the dark sky. Earth, their home, the cradle of all human life, was within reach, and they would not let it fall. Lara pulled up a new tactical map, showing the positions of Earth's fleet and the Empire's forces. There were too many variables, too many risks, but there was one truth that stood above the rest. They had the element of surprise. The Empire didn't expect Earth to strike back with anything other than surrender. "We need to send a message," Lara said, her voice growing stronger. "We need to show the Empire that Earth won't go quietly. Every fleet, every soldier, every ship, we fight together." Diaz glanced at the map. "We've got less than 24 hours before the Empire closes in. What's our move, Captain?" Lara's fingers flew over the controls, entering the coordinates for a daring strike through the gap in the blockade. "We'll hit their supply lines, take out their reinforcements, cut the Empire's power, and show them that no matter how advanced they are, they can't break human spirit." As she issued the orders, a message blinked on her screen, a transmission from Earth's highest authority, President Ava Tran. Her face appeared on the screen, stern and resolute. "Captain Matthews, I know you've been preparing for this. The eyes of the world are on you. If you can pull this off, Earth has a chance to turn the tide. But remember, this is not just a military operation. This is a statement to the Galactic Empire. Earth will not bend. We are not just fighting for survival. We are fighting for our right to choose our future." Lara met the president's gaze through the screen. "Understood, Madam President. We'll make sure they know this is Earth's fight, not just a rebellion. We'll show them why humanity is worth fighting for." The transmission ended, and Lara turned to her crew, who were already gathering their equipment, preparing for the imminent battle. "Make no mistake," she said, her voice filled with purpose. "We may be outgunned and outnumbered, but we have something they don't. We have heart. And we have Earth." As the crew dispersed to their posts, Lara stood alone for a moment, looking out at the stars. This was it. The beginning of the greatest fight Earth had ever known. The silence of space was shattered by the roar of engines as Earth's fleet surged forward from their hidden lunar base. It was a rare moment of unity in the history of humanity. Countries, once divided, now fighting as one. Ships, hastily assembled from every corner of the world, were ready to face the unimaginable might of the Galactic Empire. Captain Lara Matthews stood at the helm of the flagship Unity, the largest warship in Earth's arsenal. The ship's interior was filled with the low hum of machinery and the hurried steps of her crew, preparing for a battle unlike anything humanity had ever faced. "All systems are operational, Captain," Lieutenant Rohan Diaz reported, his face grim but determined. "We're ready to go." Lara nodded, her hand tightening on the ship's controls. "All right, everyone. The gap in their blockade is just ahead. Once we hit it, we're not turning back." Outside the viewport, the dark expanse of space stretched before them. The Empire's blockade was vast, a maze of warships, battlecruisers, and deadly fighters all patrolling the space around Earth. But there, between two of the largest Imperial ships, was the opening they had been waiting for. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. "Captain, we've detected movement," one of the sensors officers called out. "Empire ships are shifting positions." Lara's heart raced. "They're closing in faster than expected. We need to move now." Without another word, she issued the order. "Initiate the attack plan. All ships, engage." The Unity surged forward, its engines roaring to life, flanked by Earth's fleet. The smaller ships darted in and out of the vast expanse of the Empire's blockade, using their agility to avoid enemy fire and create openings. Earth's fighters, fast and nimble, launched in waves, darting past massive Empire warships and hitting vulnerable spots with precision strikes. The battle was brutal and swift. The first wave of Imperial reinforcements arrived from the outer edge of the blockade, their ships massive and heavily armed. But Earth's forces were relentless, striking at weak points, hitting power grids, and disabling communications. Captain Matthews stood at the center of the unity, her eyes never leaving the display as she commanded the fleet. "Keep pressing them, people. Don't give them time to regroup." But as the initial wave of Empire ships began to falter, a new threat emerged. A massive Imperial flagship, larger than any ship in the fleet, appeared from behind the blockade, its silhouette ominous in the distance. "That's the Dominion," Diaz said, his voice tight with dread. "Their flagship. It's got enough firepower to obliterate us." Lara clenched her jaw. She had expected the Dominion to show up sooner or later. It was the Empire's pride, its most powerful weapon. But Earth's fleet wasn't backing down. "All ships, focus fire on the Dominion," Lara commanded. "We've got one shot at this. We take it down, and the Empire will lose its backbone." The battle escalated as both sides traded volleys of fire. The Dominion unleashed its fury, large cannons blasting away at Earth's fleet. Ships exploded in flashes of light, and space around them became a deadly maze of debris and smoke. The Unity took a hit, shaking the ship violently, but Lara refused to flinch. She barked orders to her crew, and within seconds, repairs were underway. The flagship's engines roared back to life. "Captain, the Dominion is firing directly at us," Diaz shouted, pointing to the massive weapon charging up. Lara's mind raced. There wasn't enough time to evade. The blast would obliterate the Unity in a single strike. But then, something unexpected happened. The smaller ships in Earth's fleet, previously scattered and uncoordinated, pulled together in a way that shocked even Lara. "All ships, engage in formation," she ordered. "We have one chance to hit them back." Earth's fleet, despite being outmatched and outgunned, fought like no other force the Empire had encountered. The ships moved as one, weaving through the enemy fire, distracting the Dominion long enough for the Unity to close the gap. The flagship's weapon fired, and the massive beam of energy shot toward Earth's fleet. But just before it could strike, the fleet's combined firepower hit the Dominion's weak points, forcing it into an unstable orbit. The blast missed by a hair. "Fire everything," Lara commanded, her voice fierce with determination. In a coordinated effort, Earth's fleet unleashed their combined weapons, pounding the Dominion with everything they had. The massive ship shuddered, its shields failing, its engines flickering. For a brief moment, Lara allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. They were winning. But then, a new signal came in, a message from the Empire's supreme commander, a cold, commanding voice that echoed across the communication systems. "Humanity's defiance will be its downfall. You may have damaged the Dominion, but you cannot win. Surrender now, or face the full wrath of the Galactic Empire." Lara's hands gripped the console. She glanced at the shattered remains of the Dominion, then back at the face of Earth's fleet. "We will never surrender," she muttered under her breath. "Not now. Not ever." The Dominion was not the Empire's only weapon. As Earth's fleet pressed the advantage, the Galactic Empire unleashed its secret weapon, something even the human forces had not anticipated. A large rift in space opened above the battlefield, and out of it poured an army of sleek, advanced drones, faster, more agile than anything Earth had seen before. They're drones. Thousands of them. Lieutenant Diaz shouted, watching in disbelief as the machines swarmed toward them, their weapons firing with deadly precision. Lara's heart sank. The Dominion had been a formidable foe, but this new threat was something else entirely. The drones were coordinated, cutting through Earth's forces with frightening efficiency. They didn't need rest. They didn't hesitate. They were a machine army, a perfect tool of war. "Deploy the EMP. Now," Lara ordered, her voice sharp as she quickly assessed their options. If they didn't disable the drones, Earth's fleet would be overwhelmed. The Unity launched a powerful electromagnetic pulse into the heart of the drone swarm, frying their circuits and forcing many to malfunction and crash into each other. For a moment, it seemed like the tide was turning. The remaining drones scattered, disoriented, and Earth's fleet used the opening to reposition. But the Empire was relentless. The Dominion had recovered faster than anticipated, and now the flagship was bearing down on them once more, its weapons primed. "We need to take out that ship now," Lara shouted. The clock was ticking, and Earth's forces were running out of time. If the Dominion wasn't destroyed soon, they would lose everything. Diaz's eyes flicked to the screen, tracking the Empire's flagship. "I've got an idea, Captain," he said, a glint of hope in his eyes. "We've got one shot at this. But we'll need to get close, real close." Lara looked at him, sizing him up. "How close?" "Inside their weapons range," Diaz replied, voice steady despite the peril. "We use the drones as cover and make a last-ditch run directly at their core. If we can get close enough, we can overload their power system. That'll be our only chance to shut them down." Lara didn't hesitate. "Do it." With a swift command, Diaz piloted the Unity into the heart of the chaos. They dodged fire from both the Empire's ships and their drone forces, weaving through space like a needle threading through the eye of a storm. The Dominion loomed closer, its massive cannons charging for a final blast. Lara gritted her teeth. They were mere seconds from being obliterated, but she didn't flinch. Humanity had never backed down in the face of impossible odds. "Prepare for impact," she called out. "Brace yourselves." The Unity blasted forward, moving like a comet through the battlefield. Earth's remaining fleet provided cover, drawing fire from the drones and the remaining Imperial warships. The ship's hull shuddered as enemy fire struck, but the Unity pressed on undeterred. Then, in an instant, they were closer than anyone would have dared imagine. The Empire's cannons roared, but they were too late. With a final, desperate burst of energy, Earth's fleet unleashed everything they had. A concentrated beam of energy, powerful enough to rip through the Dominion's hull, shot forward, tearing through the massive ship's defenses. The Dominion groaned in protest, its shields failing under the onslaught. A final explosion rocked the flagship, and in that instant, the Empire's pride was reduced to debris. The battlefield fell eerily silent. Lara's breath caught in her throat as the Dominion drifted, its course sparking and failing. She felt a momentary flicker of triumph, but it was fleeting. The war was far from over. "We did it," Diaz breathed, his voice filled with awe. But Lara knew better. The Empire's forces were still formidable, and the fleet they had just destroyed was only a small part of their total strength. The war was just beginning. Suddenly, the comms panel flickered to life again. The voice of the Supreme Commander echoed through the airwaves, colder than ever before. "You may have destroyed the Dominion, but this battle was nothing. You have no idea what you're up against. The full force of the Galactic Empire is coming for you. Your victory will be your undoing." Lara didn't flinch. "We'll be ready." Turning to her crew, she issued her next command. "Prepare for the next phase of the plan. This is just the beginning. We've shown them that Earth will fight. Now we show them that we will win." The crew stood tall, their resolve unshaken. Outside the viewport, the broken remnants of the Dominion floated, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when they refused to back down. As the fleet began to regroup, Lara felt the weight of the moment settle over her. This was their turning point. They had sent a message to the Empire Earth would never surrender. And this time, the Empire had underestimated the human spirit. The remnants of the Dominion floated lifelessly in space, but the victory came with a heavy cost. Earth's fleet had suffered damage, and while they had won a crucial battle, they knew this was just the beginning. The Empire was not one to back down easily. On board the Unity, Captain Laura Matthews stood in the command center, looking at the tactical display that showed the battlefield in its aftermath. Earth's fleet had managed to destroy the Empire's flagship, but the remaining Imperial warships and drones were regrouping. The enemy was not finished, and the Supreme Commander's threat echoed in her mind. "Captain," Diaz said, his voice grim as he approached, We've taken out the Dominion, but we're surrounded. The Empire's main fleet is assembling for a counterattack. They're already dispatching reinforcements. Lara stared at the screen, her expression hard. We've been underestimated, and they won't make the same mistake again. The fight isn't over, not by a long shot. Suddenly, the comms panel crackled to life. The voice of President Ava Tran came through, steady and determined. Captain Matthews, we've been monitoring the situation from Earth. You've given us a fighting chance, but the Empire is not going to let this go. We've seen their reinforcements. It's time to take the fight to them. We need to hit them hard before they have time to regroup. Lara nodded. Understood, Madam President. We're not stopping now. Earth's fight for survival has just begun. She turned to Diaz and the rest of the crew. Prepare for another strike. We've got one shot at catching the Empire off guard while they're still reeling. This is it. If we don't act fast, we'll be facing their full might. Outside, the stars seemed to shimmer in the vastness of space, but Lara could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Humanity had proven itself once again, but the real test was still ahead. The fleet of Earth's ships moved forward once more, positioning themselves for a bold strike deep into the heart of the Empire's remaining forces. They needed to disrupt the Empire's command structure, destroy their remaining ships, and break their momentum before they could fully recover. Earth's fleet was battered but not broken. On board the Unity, the crew prepared for the next phase of the battle. The strategy was simple, yet dangerous: sneak deep into enemy lines and attack their most vulnerable targets. It was a risky move, one that required precision and perfect timing. We're about to hit the Empire where it hurts, Diaz said as he navigated the Unity through a gap in the remaining Imperial forces. But if we fail, it could be the end for us. Lara's gaze was firm as she stared at the tactical map. Failure is not an option. We've already shown them that we'll fight to the last breath. Let's make sure they know it. The fleet surged forward, weaving through the debris of the previous battle. They entered the heart of the enemy's formation, where the Empire's forces were still regrouping. The Empire's warships, massive and intimidating, moved in tight formations, their weapons ready to fire at a moment's notice. But they were slow to react. The Empire had been forced into a defensive position, and Earth's fleet was prepared to capitalize on it. Lara's eyes narrowed as the Unity neared the Empire's command ship, a massive behemoth that served as their central hub of operations. If they could disable it, they could cripple the Empire's ability to respond effectively. Lock onto their weak points, Lara ordered. We need to hit them hard and fast. The Unity fired its weapons first, a barrage of energy blasts slamming into the command ship's shields. The Empire's forces retaliated immediately, launching drones and fighters to protect their command vessel. Earth's fleet responded in kind, launching a wave of fighters to engage the enemy and create a diversion. As the battle raged around them, Lara felt the pulse of tension in her chest. They were outnumbered, but they had one advantage: their tactics. Earth's fleet was fighting with everything they had, using every trick they knew. They moved with purpose, never giving the Empire a chance to recover from their previous losses. And then something incredible happened. A series of explosions rippled across the Empire's command ship. The Unity's shot had hit a critical power core, and the command ship's shields were failing. The battle seemed to freeze for a moment as the Empire's forces scrambled to defend their vulnerable flagship. "We've got them!" Diaz shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. "The command ship's shields are down." Lara didn't let herself celebrate. "Finish it. Take out their core." With a final volley, Earth's fleet targeted the Empire's command ship, and within moments, the vessel erupted in a blinding flash of light. The heart of the Empire's military operation was no more. The remaining Imperial ships hesitated, confused, and disoriented. Earth's fleet pressed their advantage, attacking with renewed fury. One by one, the Empire's warships were destroyed or forced to retreat. Lara's heart pounded as she watched the Empire's forces crumble. For the first time in this conflict, it seemed like Earth might actually have a chance. But then, the communication system crackled to life again, and the Supreme Commander's voice rang out once more. "You may have struck at the heart of our fleet, but you've only delayed the inevitable. The Empire is vast, and we will return. Your victory here means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Lara clenched her fists. Maybe so, but it's enough to prove one thing. Earth will never surrender. And as long as we fight, you'll never win. The Supreme Commander's voice hissed through the comms, filled with venom. We shall see, Captain Matthews. The Empire always prevails. Lara knew the war was far from over, but today Earth had dealt a significant blow to the Empire. For the first time, humanity had shown the invaders that they were not the unstoppable force they had thought. And Earth, despite all odds, was still standing. The shattered remnants of the Empire's command ship floated in the void of space, its once pristine hull now nothing more than debris. Earth's fleet had struck a decisive blow, but the battle was far from over. The Supreme Commander's words still echoed in Lara Matthews' mind. The Empire always prevails. But today was different. Humanity had proven its strength, its determination, and its will to survive. The question was no longer whether Earth could fight the Empire. It was whether they could sustain the fight long enough to win. In the command center of the Unity, the crew was still catching their breath. The battle had been intense, and Earth's fleet had taken heavy damage, but they had succeeded in crippling the Empire's leadership. The enemy's forces were disoriented, vulnerable, but Lara knew they wouldn't stay that way for long. "We've won this round, Captain," Lieutenant Diaz said, his voice tired but resolute. "But the Empire will regroup. They'll come at us harder next time." Lara nodded, her expression unwavering. "We can't let them recover. We need to strike while they're still reeling. But this time, we need more. We need allies." Diaz raised an eyebrow. "Allies?" Lara turned to face him, her gaze sharp. "Yes. The Empire is vast, and if we're going to defeat them, we need help. There are factions out there, species that have suffered under the Empire's rule. We need to find them and convince them to join us." The thought of an alliance with other worlds was risky. Many of these species might have their own agendas, and the Empire would surely try to squash any attempts at rebellion. But Earth had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. If other species saw humanity's determination, they might be willing to stand alongside them. Days later, Captain Matthews stood in the war room aboard the Unity, a holographic map of the galaxy projected before her. She was joined by key members of her crew and representatives from Earth's government. The question now was how to reach out to these potential allies. "Where do we start?" asked Admiral Gregory Park, one of the senior officers on Earth's fleet. "We don't exactly have a lot of resources to go gallivanting through the galaxy." Lara's finger traced a few coordinates on the map. "There are reports of several resistance groups and alien factions who've had enough of the Empire's tyranny. Our best chance is to reach the Solaris, an advanced race that's been oppressed for centuries. They've fought the Empire before." Lieutenant Rohan Diaz spoke up, his voice steady but filled with curiosity. "The Solaris? We've heard rumors, but no one's ever really been able to make contact with them. Are you sure they'll listen to us?" Lara's eyes locked with his. "We don't have a choice. If we don't try, we're dead. We need their firepower and intelligence. They've been fighting the Empire for far too long to ignore." The crew nodded in agreement. With the Dominion destroyed, the Empire would be searching for ways to retaliate, and Earth had to be ready. Lara issued the command, set a course for Solaris space. Prepare for diplomacy and possible combat. As the Unity and its fleet moved deeper into unknown space, the tension among Earth's crew was palpable. The journey was dangerous. Any ship that ventured too far into Empire-controlled regions risked being ambushed or destroyed. Yet Lara's resolve was clear. This was Earth's chance to form an alliance that could tip the scales in their favor. Days passed, and the fleet approached the outer edge of Solaris space. The Solaris were a species known for their advanced technology and fierce warriors. The galaxy's rumors about them had only made Earth's crew more eager and anxious. Would they be willing to help? A tense silence filled the air as the first communication signals came through. The voice on the other end was calm, but full of authority, alien and yet somehow familiar. "This is Commander Oran of the Solaris Resistance. Identify yourselves." Lara stepped forward, taking a deep breath. "Commander Oron, this is Captain Laura Matthews of Earth. We come in peace, seeking an alliance in the fight against the Galactic Empire." There was a pause, a moment of quiet as the Solaris commander processed the words. "Earth?" Oron's voice was filled with skepticism. "The humans who fought the Empire and destroyed the Dominion? Why should we trust you?" Laura's voice was firm. "Because we share a common enemy. The Empire has oppressed countless worlds, including your own. We've proven we're not afraid to stand up to them, and we're asking for your help to finish this fight." The silence on the other end of the transmission felt like an eternity. But then, Commander Owen spoke again. "You've earned our attention, Earth, but trust is earned, not given freely. If you truly wish to fight alongside us, you will first prove your resolve. There is a battle brewing, one that will test your strength. Help us defeat the Empire's advance force, and then we will discuss an alliance." Lara's eyes met Diaz's, and he nodded. The challenge was clear. The Solaris wanted proof that Earth was as committed to this fight as they claimed. "We'll prove ourselves, Commander," Lara said. "Prepare your fleet." "We're coming." The Unity and Earth's fleet moved into position, preparing for a battle alongside the Solaris. The stakes had never been higher. With the Empire's forces advancing, Earth's next move could determine not just the survival of their species, but the fate of the galaxy itself. As the fleets prepared for war, Captain Matthews looked out at the stars. This alliance, fragile as it was, could be the turning point. They weren't alone anymore. But even with allies at their side, the Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire was still out there, and the war was far from over. The Unity and its fleet had entered Solaris space, and Captain Laura Matthews felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. They'd come to prove their worth, to show the Solaris that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The Solaris had agreed to fight with them, but only after seeing firsthand what Earth's fleet could do. The fleet was ready, but they were about to face a significant challenge. The Solaris resistance had reported a large Imperial force advancing on one of their key colonies. If they didn't stop the Empire here, it would be a devastating blow to the Solaris people, and the budding alliance between Earth and Solaris could be over before it even started. As the Unity approached the battlefield, Lara stood at the command center, her eyes scanning the strategic displays. The Solaris fleet was already in position, sleek ships with advanced technology, their weapons glowing ominously in the dark expanse of space. "We've got this, Captain," Diaz said from his station, his voice steady. "Solaris ships are faster, more agile than anything we've got, but we've got numbers on our side." Laura nodded. "Numbers won't be enough. We need to work with the Solaris. Their tactics and technology are our best shot at beating the Empire's fleet." "Understood," Diaz said. "I'll get the comms open for coordination." The plan was simple, but risky. Earth's fleet would draw the Empire's attention, while the Solaris fleet used their superior maneuverability to strike at the Empire's weak points. It was a dangerous gamble, but they had little choice. If the Solaris were to trust them, Earth needed to show they could be more than just soldiers. They needed to be strategists. The battle erupted in a flash of light. The Empire's fleet was larger and more numerous, but the Solaris ships moved with precision, striking hard and fast, disappearing into the vastness of space only to appear again for another devastating attack. The Empire's ships fired back with relentless firepower, their massive guns lighting up the dark expanse of space. "Ready the strike?" Lara ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. "We'll follow the Solaris lead. Stay in formation and watch for weaknesses." Earth's fleet surged forward, engaging the Empire's outer forces. The fight was intense, the vacuum of space alive with the crackle of weapons fire, the screams of damaged ships, and the distant explosions from the Empire's warships. "Captain!" Diaz shouted, his voice urgent. "The Empire's bringing in reinforcements? A new fleet larger than we expected. They're trying to cut us off." Laura's mind raced. "We can't let them isolate us. We have to break their formation. If we can't do that, we'll be picked off one by one." She glanced at the Solaris fleet's movements. Their ships were already moving in perfect synchronization, cutting through the chaos with terrifying precision. But it wasn't enough. The Imperial reinforcements were fast, and they were closing in on Earth's ships. "Captain," a voice said from one of the Solaris commanders, coming through the comms, "we're under heavy fire. If we don't break through now, we'll lose our advantage." Lara's eyes narrowed. "I'll take care of it," she said. She turned to Diaz. "Get us into position. We're going to draw their fire." "You sure about this?" Diaz asked, a hint of concern in his voice. "We don't have a choice," Lara replied, her jaw set. "Do it." The Unity surged forward, directly into the path of the Empire's reinforcements. It was a suicide move, but if it worked, it would disrupt their formation and give the Solaris the window they needed to land a decisive blow. As the Unity sped toward the enemy, the massive Imperial warships unleashed everything they had. Lara's grip tightened on the command chair as the Unity shook from the impact of enemy fire. She could hear the alarms blaring and feel the tremors of the damage spreading through the ship. But she didn't falter. "Now, Diaz!" she shouted. With perfect timing, Diaz fired the Unity's advanced weaponry into the heart of the Imperial fleet. The blast hit their lead ship, causing a massive explosion that rippled through their forces. It was only a momentary disruption, but it was enough to throw the Empire's fleet off balance. The Solaris, seeing their opportunity, launched a devastating counterattack. Their sleek ships tore through the weakened Imperial lines, disabling ships with surgical precision. Their fighters dove in and out of the Imperial defenses, striking at vulnerable points with laser accuracy. The Empire's fleet, now caught in disarray, began to falter. The Unity and the Solaris pressed their advantage, pushing forward as the Empire scrambled to regain control. "We've got them," Diaz shouted. "The Empire's forces are breaking apart." Lara allowed herself a moment of relief before turning her focus back to the battle. "Don't let up. Push forward." The Empire's fleet continued to crumble under the combined assault. One by one, Imperial ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. The battle was far from over, but Earth and Solaris had gained the upper hand. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last of the Empire's ships fled, leaving only debris and the echoes of a hard-fought victory. The Solaris resistance, battered but unbroken, sent a message through the comms. "This is Commander Oron," came the voice, calm but filled with respect. "Earth has proven itself today. We will stand with you." Lara breathed a sigh of relief, a small smile tugging at her lips. "We've earned it." As the battle subsided, Lara stood in the command center, her eyes fixed on the stars. The Solaris had joined their fight, and together they had dealt the Empire a devastating blow. But they all knew this was just the beginning. The Supreme Commander of the Empire would not let this defeat go unanswered. The war was far from over. But today, Earth and its new allies had shown the galaxy something important. Humanity was not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. The victory over the Empire's fleet was a hard-won triumph, but it was only the beginning. The Solaris resistance and Earth's fleet had come together, proving that even the might of the Galactic Empire could be challenged when the galaxy's oppressed forces united. However, Captain Lara Matthews knew that this was not the time for celebration. The Empire would regroup and retaliate, and humanity's fight for freedom had just begun. The Unity drifted quietly in space, surrounded by the ships of Earth's fleet and the Solaris resistance. Despite the quiet, the tension was palpable. Lara stood in the command center, her gaze fixed on the galaxy map before her. The battle had shifted the balance of power, but the Empire was vast and relentless. No sooner had the last Imperial ship fled than their fleet's communications networks began buzzing with activity. It was only a matter of time before they would strike back. "Captain," Lieutenant Diaz said from his station, "we've detected multiple Imperial fleets on the move. They're consolidating forces, preparing for a counteroffensive." Lara's eyes narrowed. The Empire wasn't one to back down easily. "Prepare for the worst. Get us in contact with Commander Oron. We need to coordinate our next move." In the war room aboard the Unity, the high-ranking officers from Earth and Solaris gathered to plan the next stage of the battle. Commander Oron, the leader of the Solaris resistance, stood beside Lara, his eyes hard with determination. We've weakened the Empire, but they will not let this go unanswered, Oren said, his voice cold. We need to strike now, before they can fully regroup. We must hit their supply lines, disrupt their reinforcements. If we do not act, they will send everything they have to crush us. Lara nodded, looking around the table. The faces of the officers were grim, but they all knew what had to be done. Earth had fought for its survival, but now they were fighting for something greater, freedom for the entire galaxy. The time had come to shift the balance completely in their favor. Earth's fleet will take the lead, Lara said, her voice steady. We'll hit their supply convoys, disrupt their communications, and slow their reinforcements. Solaris will lead the strike on their main supply depot. We don't give them time to breathe. Diaz looked up from his station. Captain, what about the Supreme Commander? He won't take kindly to this loss. He'll be coming for us directly. Lara's jaw clenched. We'll be ready for him. Hours later, Earth's fleet, accompanied by Solaris warships, moved into position. The vast expanse of space stretched before them, silent and ominous. The fleet was prepared for battle, but Lara couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking straight into a trap. The Empire had been quiet for too long. As they approached the supply line, it was clear they weren't alone. A fleet of Imperial ships appeared out of nowhere, surrounding them in a sudden ambush. It's a trap, Diaz shouted, his voice full of urgency. They were waiting for us. Lara's mind raced. The Empire had anticipated their move. They had lured them here, and now they were surrounded. Everyone, get to battle stations, Lara commanded. Break the formation spread out. We need to make them fight for every inch of space. The battle began immediately. The Empire's ships surged forward, firing with precision. Earth's fleet scattered, trying to break free from the sudden onslaught. Solaris ships darted around the enemy, using their superior speed and maneuverability to outflank the Imperial ships. But the Empire's forces were massive, and their firepower was overwhelming. Captain, Diaz shouted, we're being overwhelmed. We need to retreat or we'll lose the entire fleet. Lara's mind was working at lightning speed. Retreating was an option, but not an easy one. They couldn't just run. They had to make sure the Solaris had time to strike their target. Hold the line, Lara ordered. We're not retreating. The Solaris have their mission, give them time to strike. We'll draw their fire. With grit and determination, Earth's fleet formed a protective wall, using their numbers to shield the Solaris ships as they moved toward the Imperial supply depot. Explosions erupted all around them, but the fleet held firm. Minutes felt like hours as the two forces clashed. The Empire's fleet, though massive, struggled to push through Earth's defensive lines. The Solaris resistance, working in perfect coordination, launched their strike at the Imperial depot, hitting it with devastating accuracy. The explosions lit up space like a star-going supernova. We've breached the depot's defenses. Oren's voice crackled through the comms. The Empire's supply lines are collapsing. Lara felt a surge of relief. The battle was far from over, but the first part of the plan had succeeded. The Empire's reinforcements would be delayed, and their supply lines were in chaos. But the cost had been high. Earth's fleet was taking heavy damage, and Solaris ships were falling fast. Captain, Diaz said, his voice strained. We're running out of time. The Empire's reinforcements are already en route. We can't hold them off much longer. Lara's heart raced. The Supreme Commander had been waiting for this moment. If they didn't break free now, they would be caught in a trap with no escape. Retreat. Lara shouted, Everyone, fall back to the Unity. We've done enough damage. As Earth's fleet pulled back, the Solaris ships covered their retreat. The enemy was disorganized, but the Empire's war machine was relentless. The space around them became a deadly dance of laser fire and evasive maneuvers as Earth's ships fought their way back to the Unity. Captain, we're losing ships, Diaz said. The Empire is closing in. But just as the last of Earth's fleet reached the safety of the Unity, a new presence appeared on the horizon. A massive Imperial warship emerged from the shadows, dwarfing the other ships. It was the Supreme Commander's flagship. This is it, Lara whispered under her breath. He's here. The Supreme Commander had arrived, and he would stop at nothing to crush the rebellion. Earth's fleet had made progress, but the real fight was about to begin. Lara's voice was steady as she turned to her crew. Prepare for the final battle. We may have been pushed back today, but we're not finished. Not by a long shot. The Unity hovered in space, its hull battered from the fierce battle with the Imperial fleet. The retreat had been chaotic, but it had succeeded in allowing Earth's forces to regroup. Yet, as Lara Matthews stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the looming shadow of the Supreme Commander's flagship, a sense of unease settled in her chest. The Empire's retaliation had come swiftly, and now the galaxy's fate seemed to rest on the edge of a knife. The Supreme Commander, the ruthless tactician who had orchestrated the Empire's relentless campaign, was not a man who forgave easily. His fleet was vast, and his resolve unshakable. "Captain," Diaz said, his voice tense, "the Supreme Commander's flagship is moving into position. He's targeting us. The Empire's fleet is advancing. We need to make a decision now." Lara's eyes were cold with resolve. She knew this moment was coming, the tipping point between victory and annihilation. If they didn't act swiftly, the Empire would crush them. "Send the signal to the Solaris fleet," she ordered. "We need to coordinate. They're the key to breaking through the Empire's lines." Oren's voice came through the comms. "Captain Matthews, we are ready. But the Empire's flagship is too powerful. If we don't take it down, everything else will be meaningless. We need to strike with everything we have." Lara nodded, her eyes never leaving the battle unfolding in front of them. "We'll draw the Supreme Commander out. The Solaris will hit their weak points while we keep them distracted. This is our last chance to hit them where it hurts." The Unity was ready. The fleet, though battered, had rallied around Lara's leadership. Earth's forces and the Solaris had formed a new strategy, one that would require precision, daring, and luck. The Supreme Commander's flagship was imposing. Massive, with dark, intimidating lines, it dwarfed any of the ships in Earth's fleet. Its advanced weaponry had been designed to obliterate anything in its path, and it had already dealt a devastating blow to Earth's forces. Now, it was moving in for the kill. "Hold tight," Lara said, gripping the armrest of her chair as the Unity lurched forward. "We're going straight for it. Everyone, prepare for heavy fire." The battle was upon them. As Earth's fleet surged forward, they took fire from every direction. The Empire's ships formed a wall, and the Supreme Commander's flagship unleashed its fury. "Stay focused," Lara said, voice unwavering. "We're going for their weak points. Target their engines and shield generators. If we can take those out, the rest of the fleet will fall apart." Diaz nodded, his fingers flying across the controls as the Unity danced through enemy fire. The ship's shields flickered, taking hits, but they held. Lara's eyes were sharp, analyzing the battlefield, watching for any chance to strike. "Now," she shouted, "take the shot." The Unity fired, a massive barrage of energy that struck the Empire's flagship dead center. For a moment, the flagship staggered, its shields weakening. But the Supreme Commander's flagship was no ordinary vessel. It quickly regained its balance, retaliating with devastating power. The shockwave rocked the Unity, and alarms blared across the bridge. "Damage report," Lara barked. "Shields at 40%, Captain," Diaz reported. "Hull integrity holding, but we can't take many more hits like that." The Solaris fleet was already in motion, darting between the chaos, their ships moving like lightning. They had done their part now. It was time for Earth's fleet to give everything they had. "Hold steady," Lara commanded. "We're not backing down. We've got one shot to bring him down." The battle raged on, an intense ballet of destruction and desperation. The Supreme Commander's flagship loomed large, its weaponry firing with brutal precision, but Earth's fleet was relentless. They had something to fight for: freedom, survival, and a future beyond the Empire's iron fist. Oren's voice crackled through the comms. "We've taken out their outer defenses, but the flagship's core is still intact. We can't break through their armor." "You'll need to do it." Lara's heart pounded.